I want to talk about Shaquille O'Neal this time because I rate players, rank them and I change my rankings. But I'm not going to get sidetracked by politics. It's not one of those things. This isn't about the NBA scandals right now. But Shaquille, I leave him. He doesn't make my list a lot of times, but not because I'm not sure he shouldn't. Because sometimes I think, like, if I was in real life and I'm trying to win a game, I'm trying to make an all-star team to win a game, and then I got these balanced players like Kareem, and I got Hakeem Olajuwon. I have Shaquille right behind those two guys on those lists. But I'm going by stats, consistency. I like Hakeem because he's good at guarding perimeter players and switching, Kareem's not as good at that as Olajuwon, and Wilt's not as good. I also have Wilt. I have Wilt as number one, and I have Kareem, and then Olajuwon, and then Shaq, like that. And actually, sometimes I'm back and forth. I put Olajuwon in front of Kareem, actually. So, because of the defense. So, Shaq, where's his defense line up with those? That's the question, partly. And so, that's part of my question. I don't think he'd be as fast or aggressive on defense, but he's not bad on defense. And so, on offense, he's a powerhouse. More so than Hakeem Olajuwon, and more so than it's debatable between him and Kareem. Kareem's more versatile on offense, but so that's where I have him. I just want to kind of say, Shaq's right there. But the fact that I leave him off my list so far, I'm not finished with all my lists, but I just like I think that here's the thing about Shaq. If it comes down to a real game, and I'm making my same list, and I'm picking guys, I might say, okay, I have Wilt, Olajuwon, Kareem, and Shaq. I might decide at the last minute, I need to win. I want to win, Am I right or wrong about Shaq? He's a powerhouse. I better take Shaq. He's a powerhouse, right? So I might, at the last second, say, okay, I understand the ratings. I understand the balance of different things these players can do. But at the end, when it comes down to the wire, I might say, I'm not taking chances. I'm going with Shaq. So, but I want Wilt too. And then there's the question of, okay, I think Wilt is underrated. I think that he played against tough players like Bill Russell, and he played against Kareem a little bit. And so when he was older, and Kareem was young. So I'm like, I do think they had some strong centers back then. And Wilt did stuff that other players can't do. That he just had a special gift. And the thing is about all four of these guys, they all do something a little different. They all have a little bit different. They have something they're better at than the other player. All of them do. So, like Hakeem is better than all three of those guys at switching and guarding perimeter players. So Dwight Howard is even in the picture because of that, because he can do like Hakeem can do, and he's a good scorer below the rim. And he's not tall, but he's just good on defense. So he's a better defensive player maybe than, I won't say he's better. I forget on the ratings if he's way up there or not, but he's just more versatile in defense, we'll say. And so, but he is a good defensive player too, despite his size. He's not that small. He's 6'10", I believe. But, and he can jump out the building. That's why they call him Superman. And I think Shaq was also called Superman, so they had a little battle there. But Shaq's big and strong. So, if I was like down to the wire, would I take Shaq over Wilt? No, I'd want Shaq and Wilt. So I might take Hakeem Olajuwon. It'd really be between Kareem and Wilt, who I decide I'm going to keep, because I don't want to give up Hakeem Olajuwon. And I might even go and get Dwight Howard. I could take Dwight Howard, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Shaq as my three centers if I have a team of 15. And so that's kind of my thoughts. So I think those are the best centers in history. But Nikola Jokic is a true contender, not because. And the thing is, the reason I like these top centers is for defense. But the best offensive player, by the way, I'll mention is Shaq, Kareem, and Wilt. They're all good offensive players. Dominant offensive players. even over Elijah Wan. Now, Elijah Wan's got the moves, and he had his peak and all that, but as far as the percentage-wise, Kareem, Shaq, and Wilt shot between 50 and 60%. And later on, I mean, in the playoffs, I think Shaq and Kareem still stayed closer to 50 or 60%. And I forget which one of those guys I think even improved in the playoffs. That might be Shaq. See, so, but Kareem had the most scoring. He's had the most scoring, highest scoring propensity, and he probably had more endurance than Shaquille, and could go full court. So I might take, if I had three guys, Wilt, Shaq, and Kareem. I mean, Wilt, Shaq, and Elijah Wan. And then, but if I decided that maybe Wilt's competition was not as strong as I thought, I think it was. I think he did well against Kareem. I think he was tougher than people think because he could bench 500 pounds or more, a little more. That's a lot for that guy. I mean, he was thin and still could do that. He was in shape. I mean, he was strong. So he could run a 48, I think, 400 meters. He did high jump. He just blocked more shots than he's one of the few people that did block Kareem's hook shot. See, now Kareem, he had that hook shot, an unblockable hook shot, pretty much. Wilt Chamberlain blocked it, all right, quite a few times. And so, if he did that, I mean, he did what more than most people could do. There's only one person that might could block Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's shot more than once, I'll say. Maybe Wemby, today's Wemby, could do it. Maybe. Maybe not yet, but he'll be able to figure out how to do something like that, except Kareem's not here. So, he's not in the league anymore. So, so I could, if I decided to go, because when I come down to the wire, see, this is why I hate to knock Kareem down, see, on the list, but I might put Shaq in front of Kareem. If it came down to the wire and I'm like, I don't want to take a chance of losing, I better get Shaq. He would take Kareem's spot, not Elijah Wan's spot, because Shaq's going to be my scorer, just like Kareem, even though he's not scoring the same way as Kareem or even Wilt. Under pressure, Wilt will score similar to Shaq, though. He'll force it in there. But he's going to score. Shaq's going to score. He can score big, high volume. I mean, he can do high volume, and also he can do high percentage, a low percentage of misses. In other words, he's going to make his shots better than anybody beside Wilt and Kareem. And then Elijah Wan's pretty good. He's close to that. And then I could say Tim Duncan's the center. I could say that. But who would I put him in front of? So let's just say I didn't get Wilt, though. If I didn't get Wilt, I'd get Dwight, Shaq, and Elijah Wan. I'd probably pick them over Kareem. No offense to Kareem. But because I like defense. And so, and Dwight can score. So I'm taking Dwight over Bill Russell. Shaq can score better than Bill Russell. Wilt can score better than Bill Russell. Bill Russell's maybe the best defender out of the whole group, they say. But that's where I stand with Shaq, and that's, I'm still studying, and sometimes I see stuff I didn't see before, and I observe more. I have time to do so many different players, and I study so many other different things too, politics and everything, and religion, Christianity. And so, and I, look at the obvious stuff, like there's only one proven God that rose from the dead, and that if you can't prove to me any other religion is real, true, and not false unless their God rises from the dead or has the power to rise from the dead. And if it's a statue and not a real God, not a real person or something, then obviously the statue can't rise from the dead. It never lived in the first place. So that doesn't make any sense to have a God like that, right? That's reality. It's not we're supposed to be able to talk about that without people getting offended and saying, okay, that's true evidence. That's just bottom line true evidence. That's reality. All right? So, I study all that stuff, and I have other things I do too. I don't have time to study as much as I want on basketball. And it's the one thing I do, keeps me busy, and I like doing it. I just get addicted to it, but I just run out of time. So, if I study more film, I may find something that changes my views a little bit. And I changed my view on David Robinson because I realized I'm looking at his regular season stats mostly, and I'm thinking, why are they underrating this guy? And then when you get to the playoffs, his field goal percentage went down, and that's when he's playing it probably against the Elijah Wan and Shaq in the playoffs, people like that. And his shooting percentage went down. Now it could be that he let Tim Duncan shoot in the post, and he can play versatile on offense, and that's one thing that's good about him. But he's one of the best defensive players. But he plays versatile on offense and can shoot outside and dribble and everything. He played almost like a point guard. That's good, and so maybe he shot a lot more outside, and his shooting percentage went down because of that. Maybe he focused on defense and shot outside, and that could have been their plan. So if that's the case, I hate that I've knocked him down on my list. But the reality is, I'm looking at the shot percentage, and I don't like to keep a player, Kobe Bryant included, if their shot percentage goes down. And that's another point about Shaq I want to make. I feel that one of the reasons Kobe Bryant's not high on my list, the main reason is his shooting percentage was not as good as Jordan, Larry Bird, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. His field goal percentage, missed shots is more than all theirs. His makes are a lot less than theirs. So he took a lot more shots, but missed a lot more, right? So that's the main reason I don't put him right there in the top. He's good. He carries the team on his back. He may have taken shots in more places, and that made it harder on the defense, maybe. But at the same time, I think a good shot selection matters. You got to have a high shooting percentage, or that's more turnovers. Okay, so but here's the problem I had number two with Kobe is that I thought he should have kept Shaq. I thought he should have worked it out more with Shaq, worked harder tried harder to work things out with Shaq. I understand that he didn't like Shaq's work ethic or how he eats. He wanted him to be more committed. But Shaq's the best thing there is in the league, and you got to work with that to try to win. And just like Michael Jordan was able to work with Dennis Rodman, who may not be hard to work with, but he's a tough personality. You can't let him scare you or get on your nerves. Jordan handled that perfectly. He didn't seem to have any problem at all. He liked what Dennis Rodman brought to the game. And he made it work. He didn't have a problem with it. He just that's Dennis' personality. That's what he's going to do, and it's his strategy as well. And he probably enjoyed some of it because some of it's very strategic. Some of the personality stuff is strategic, but so he worked with that. He didn't let it bother him. Now Dennis Rodman's different than Shaq because he can be tough to get along with by some teammates if you don't have a good leader to pull them together, and Jordan did pull them together on that. So come to think of it, Jordan wouldn't let anybody else have a problem with Dennis Rodman either, I would bet, right? So because he said, we're here to win, But so if Dennis Rodman was playing with Kobe Bryant, they might get along because he has a strong work ethic, I don't know if now about coming late to games. That's another story. That Kobe wouldn't like that part, but maybe if that ever, I don't know how often that happened. That happened in San Antonio. I don't know if it happened in Chicago. If it did, it might have been once or twice. That's all. But I don't know that. It may have been more. But but one year with the Spurs, he got injured and came back disgruntled, I think. And so I put that on the injury though. Partly that got him down, and maybe discontent being there because maybe he got complained about while he was injured or something. That happens. Like that, people complained about Dwight Howard's injury. They didn't complain about his injury. They acted like he didn't have an injury and complained about him. So in Lakers when he was at the Lakers, but so he may have a work ethic that Kobe could have got along with, but I still think no matter what, you try to work stuff out with Shaq. If he's your teammate, you want to keep him on your team, and you want to pass it to him more. So that he did end up getting the ball more after a while, but anyhow, I think it's time to go. And so Shaq. I'll just say one more thing. Shaq went to Miami Heat and they won with Dwayne Wade. They won. Of course, they had other help. Gary Payton's a big deal. But he was older, I think. Still, Gary Payton's maybe my favorite point guard to put on a team with Jordan and Larry Bird, or Jordan and Kevin Durant, Jordan and Kawhi Leonard. It being my wings, I'll take Gary Payton, that defensive point guard who shoots a good percentage. But I got to go, and I'll say that, Shaq's teams would win. It's not just Kobe that won that championship. Kobe doesn't win it without Shaq that easy. Kobe doesn't win it without Paul Gasol the other time, I think. And but they don't win it without Kobe either, right? All right, I got to go.